Now, the last prophecy that I posted was about or one of the last that I posted. It was about the rise of the powers that we know as alien powers, and that historical books like the Babylonian scripts and the likes of the script of Enki referred to as the Anunnaki. The Bible referred to them as the fallen angels. So these were the powers that were a decree that they had, not that they were planning to, but they were already taking over. Related to that is a power that has been slated to play a very big part in terms of wars in this end season, and this is a prince that will be ruling over the Muslim nations. Now, about a decade ago, I'm hoping that I'll find my post where I wrote on my blog about the rise of the Muslim nations against the African nations. Now, the most important thing that I believe is supposed, or we need to look at, is that the Muslim nation right now, especially after the invasion of Israel by Gaza and the retaliation that occurred, we can see that the Muslim nations are beginning to unite for a purpose. You're also seeing that some of the nations that we thought that will be playing a big part in the retaliatory attacks of the Muslim nations are taking a backseat. Nations like Iran, that we all thought were very powerful, that are powerful in their own right. They have the armies, they have the weapons, they have the voice, but we've been seeing them kind of watching from afar and maybe guiding the negotiating process, and this is in line with the prophecies that we've seen earlier of of the rising of this power, because when it rises, according to what I saw, the prince did not come from Iran or from these nations that are on the Arabian Peninsula. The prince came from the nation that is not even from the nation, but from part of the nation of Pakistan, and it was in the area that is towards, as you go towards the ocean, that is the area from which the prince arose, and that prince had power over the whole of the Arab world, the whole of the Muslim world. He was the prince of the Muslim nations, and this is a prince that is an ancient prince. He has ruled over the areas before, which I believe makes the recent prophecy or the prophecy of the rise of the ancient princes, also known as aliens or Anunnaki. These are the powers that I saw coming forth from the heavens. So in the dream that I saw, which was an invasion of Kenya, and it's not only Kenya that will be affected. The people who are known as the Shaabab will join them, and I saw them fighting side by side. Now, what I don't know about the prince is that whether he will need a human body to possess in order to execute. But I did not see a human body when I saw him. It was just him in this almost shadowy form, as he led the army across the African coastlines and he reached in the middle of the country called Kenya, while the focus was in the country of Kenya. Now, when I was looking at it, I could tell that the line went through, all the way through Ethiopia, all the way through up. So every country that falls to the right of this line should prepare for war, going all the way down and all the way up to Egypt and down to Tanzania. There will be some kind of an effect, although I could not see the extent of the effect, because he's coming on the strength of the rebels, the Shaabab, who will join him and fight alongside him. He will come all the way to that line that is running through the half of Kenya. So those nations that are have pieces of themselves falling to the left of that line. Prepare for war because it's coming. Now, this prince, something else that I saw about him is that he also came in form of waves of water. There were like 3 waves, which brings the element of a parable to the dream, because should we wait for water, or should we wait for his army to invade, or is he going to be invaded by water? I think we should wait for both, because in the same season that we are waiting for the invasion, we're also waiting for the pole shift, and it's been speculated that the Earth could make a 90-degree turn. So whichever way it happens, it's not going to be good if the magnetic pole stops at the Russia Siberia area. It means that a big part of Russia will become uninhabitable because of the harsh climatic conditions. And if you read the ancient texts like the Colbrin, to see human behavior at that time, is that the nations that were destroyed due to natural causes as a result of the pole shift and a result of the earthquakes and whatever else that was happening at that time, and the meteor storm that we're expecting, they fled. And the fleeing was not necessarily to flee from danger, but also to look for new lands. And this is recorded in the book of Colbrin, where it's written that in the land of the spiritual beings, which was destroyed, they left it and went to conquer the lands that had not been destroyed. So you'll have this cascading effect, where this nation comes to displace the next nation, which is less, and when the next nation is displaced, that nation moves to the neighboring nation to displace it, and the cascading effect goes down the line. So you'll find, let's say, if it lands in Siberia, it is the Russians that will be looking for new lands. And of course, the next most obvious nations to go for are the former Soviet nations, which will be so close to the cold that probably they will also be moving. There's Europe, but before you reach Europe, we have the Arabian Peninsula. We've got the Pakistani areas, and we've got the Hindu regions. And if the magnetic North Pole stops at the Siberian area, if it goes all the way to Indonesia and has a 90 degrees slope of the Earth, it means that the Indonesian and the South American region will be the starting points of displacements, and so the communities that are next will be pushed down. And it's probably why the US government is allowing for migration, because it's something that is inevitable, and you better do it when you have the capacity to control, so that you can tell them and even start integrating them to the society. And I think that's smart. When I was thinking about this message, I went to the maps to see exactly so I went to the maps to see exactly what the area is like, because it wasn't the map that I saw of the origin of this attack wasn't exactly the map of Pakistan as a nation as it is right now, but just a portion, a circular, almost not a perfect circle, but a circular area that in my mind, in my understanding during the dream, I knew it as the nation, as a country. And when I went to look at the map of the area, this is the area that is inhabited by the I believe they're the Pashtun. I'll need to check again. But this is basically the group from which the Taliban have arisen, and it's a group that is known to be very warrior-like and very contentious. And when I saw that, I started understanding why some of these things have been happening. There's a spiritual reason behind it, and their presence is going to play a very important role in future in terms of world politics. And now the coming of this prince, it's karmic. more than fate. It's more karmic than fate. That means it doesn't align with where Africa should be going spiritually, because Africa was released from bondage about 10 years ago, and our area of bondage was within the Middle East region. That's where we were first bound spiritually. So it's not a time when we should be going back to similar bondage. That means that while the prince has power to overtake part of the land, the power is limited to the purpose of the attack. And in my understanding, I saw that the purpose was a religious purpose. He was coming specifically to fight on behalf of the Horn of African Muslim nation of Somalia, and it was purely a religious vengeance kind of military action. And in my understanding, I could see that there was a karmic. The door was opened when the nation of Kenya specifically joined the war on terror. So I believe Somalia will be one of these Muslim nations when the prince arises. Another piece of information that I got is that it was the Al-Shabaab that made the first contact with the prince. And from that time, he started making plans. Now, this is interesting because this happened long before I saw the dream of the ancient princess returning, the fallen angels returning. So, in my understanding at that time, the prince was already in power. He was already there, and in fact, he had such detailed system that he was even collecting information continuously that will help him in the launching of the attack. So all these nations, he knows everything that he needs to know about you. He's been collecting information for years and putting plans in place to enable him to launch the armies, his army against you. He's coming from the oceans, and it does make sense militarily that the route across the ocean is, if you're coming from the Pakistan region, is closer and less treacherous than if you decided to cross the deserts, because you'd have to cross the Arabian desert, cross the Red Sea, then cross the Somali desert. So I think for him, he's seen that it's easier to just build his ships. And now I did not see the ships, for the record, but I saw them coming from the coastline and into the nation eastward, fighting. I know it's going to be a war, but because I saw actual soldiers on the ground, and I also saw Al-Shabaab, people that I understood to be Al-Shabaab, fighting with the soldiers of the prince side by side. So like and subscribe and share the video. Share it with any generally the people of the world that you know, because the rise of this prince, for him to rise at the magnitude that I saw him rise, means that he's going to be a great and powerful prince. It also means and raises a question as to where is the colonial masters, where is Europe, and where is the US, who have bases all over the country, in Kenya, in Djibouti, in along along and even off the African coastlines. I wonder where they were. The truth is, I did not see the response, or the Kenyan side, what they were handing or what they were doing against the attack. But it got me wondering, is it that the US will be too busy because something will have already happened, that they will be so busy with their land that they will not be able to bring reinforcement? Though I must say, I did not see what was happening on the Kenyan side. I only saw one side, so I don't know who was fighting with Kenya. I don't know who was fighting with the from the left side against the prince. So that's a parable. Where were they?